Hello and welcome to another episode of the Cricketers Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Tim Williams. We are here to recap the week that was in the world of cricket with Josh Hazlewood getting it done in the IPL and Cam Green tunning up in English county cricket. Here to talk through it with me, as always, Cricket Australia commentator Max Bryden. Maxie, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Timmy, how are you, mate?
I'm very well. Fantastic, actually. And also with us, the man with the best stats in sport, random stats guy. We've had 2 weeks off, Rando. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. The footy's kicking on. The cricket's been going great. We've been seeing young guns kill it. We've been seeing Aussies kill it in county cricket. It's just great to see the cricket season keep going. We've got some Aussies doing well too.
All happening, mate. And you've been busy doing a bit of modelling work at Monday morning?
Absolutely. Just wearing Chuck and Sons brewing coat. So this is obviously sponsored. But had
the
a good
second
one.
best beer on the planet behind Bloke in a Bar.
Obviously, yeah.
Just to be safe there.
Neck and neck, maybe some would say. But or at least I'm paid to. But yeah, had a few beers on Monday morning. Nothing wrong with the 3 beers by 11:30 a.m. on a Monday morning, is there?
That's what I always say.
That's
coming off Anzac weekend into a few Monday morning beers at a modelling shoot. That's a big effort from you.
I did have a 2-day break, 2-day rest in between, so I'll be okay.
How you feel, mate? A bit snoozy or you're right?
A little bit snoozy, but just punch me in the shoulder if I fall asleep, especially when you're talking.
Guys, plenty has... Oh, jeez. Rando goes bang. You're drunk, mate.
Just the confidence.
Guys, plenty happening in the world of cricket. On today's show, we'll be going through our IPL, Indian Premier League insights. Josh Hazlewood leading the charge as the top wicket taker in the tournament, while a 14-year-old stars on debut as the youngest player in the IPL history. Virat Kohli, he's also continued his tear in the tournament. English County Cricket Watch, Cam Green, he turned up in his first knock of the season as well, while Fergus O'Neill, he's on an absolute rampage with the ball in his short stint over in the UK with a pair of fifers there. And of course, we'll vote on our best individual performances from the week in cricket to come up with our world team of the week. But boys, let's kick it off with Aussies in the IPL. And Maxie, before we get into our talking points, which will be Josh Hazlewood, mate, who are the Aussies that caught your eye with big performances during the last fortnight it's been?
Yeah, mate, it has been a big fortnight for the Aussies. Look, there's a couple of sort of really obvious guys who have had solid seasons so far. Mitch Marsh had plenty of headline moments. Josh Hazlewood, we'll get to him and the amazing job that he's doing. But for me, it was Starkey. I think Starkey's really shown in the last couple of weeks, like just why he gets the big bucks. Like he's just such a match winner. He's really started to come into his own. It's been a different IPL, I think, than what people expected this season. Like the massive run totals haven't been as big as they were last year. And so guys like Starkey, with their ability to take wickets and like keep the economy rate down, are really showing why they're worth that big pay packet. So he for mine has been a real standout as well.
Well, Stark and the bloke will go to very shortly, Josh Hazlewood, but you mentioned that. We thought, particularly on in the tournament, there are going to be some massive scores, and there's been a few big ones here and there, but not as big as expected initially. But Hazlewood, Stark, they've had a few spells to end games at the death that have just, as you said, showing the value on these, what have been pretty flat decks of just quality death bowling.
100%. There was a game recently where Stark's Delhi were defending a pretty small total. They ended up taking it to a super over. They were behind the game for ages. He came on for his last 2 overs and basically hit like 2 overs worth of Yorkers. They couldn't get him away. He came on, bowls a super over, and you know what happens if Mitchell Stark's going to bowl a super over, you're going to win that game like 9 times out of 10. He's really good, and I think that it just bodes really nicely for this Australian white ball setup as well. Like I think seeing the performance of these guys when they're matched with the best players from all around the world, like it just really excites me as an Aussie fan.
Mate, Josh Hazlewood, one of those, man. 18 wickets in 10 games at an average of 17.27. The leading wicket taker in the tournament. He's 2 clear of Prasidh Krishna. He's 4 clear of Noor Ahmed in 3rd place. What I want to talk about today, basically, Maxie, and I'll start with you. Is he just, when we talk about Australian white ball superstar bowlers, not to say we don't appreciate what Josh Hazlewood's done, because of course we do. We're Australians, we've had all this success, World Cup champions in 50-over format, but I just feel like, even the way you were glowing about Mitch Stark before, it's Mitch Stark, Pat Cummins, they get the raps, but mate, Josh Hazlewood, time and time again, like, is he an underrated white ball cricketer for Australia and what he's done? Because the stats tend to back it up as well. He's
a hugely underrated white ball cricketer, but I think in general, like, he's a hugely underrated bowler in all formats. Like, so much, you only just got to remember this summer gone, like, has been the summer where he's gone to another injury, Scott Boland came in and did what he did, and people have legitimately asked if he's in the best Australian bowlers, which when you look at his career so far, he's 34 years old, 279 test wickets. This is a guy who will go down as one of the best to ever do it. But I think his white ball game is something which is probably quite subtle that most Aussie, most fans, not cricket fans, not necessarily Aussie fans, but most cricket fans won't necessarily understand. You get Starkey, Cummins, you line them up next to him, and those guys look like absolute monsters out of Space Jam, right? They are freaks of nature. They bowl absolutely rapid. They've got skill. They've got balls that are completely unplayable. And Josh Hazlewood, what's he? He's the metronome. He's the accuracy, but he's doing all this 10 clicks quicker than Glenn McGrath could. I think what's been really great seeing Josh Hazlewood's development, which a lot of it actually came through the BBL, mind you, a few years ago when he was out of the Australian Test setup just on workload issues. He had a season playing with the Sixers. They won the title coincidentally that year. He's got a knuckleball. He's got Yorkers. He's got changes of pace to go with that accuracy. But I think what's most sort of underrated about him is his ability to work out conditions quickly and adjust his game accordingly, which takes other bowlers a lot longer than he can. He's been doing this for a lot longer than people realise as well. But he's a freak. I love him, and it's great to see him having his moment in white ball cricket for sure.
And that's it, mate. Over there in the IPL, obviously, and you mentioned just adjustable to any conditions, whether it's red ball, white ball, wherever he's in the world, whatever role they need him to play with the ball. He has a solution to everything, Josh Hazlewood, no matter where he goes. Rando, what about for yourself, mate? Because, again, not to downplay what he's done with the white ball, but when you think of Josh Hazlewood, I feel like you think of Test cricket and red ball cricket. But what about his white ball cricketer, mate?
Yeah, I mean, he's ranks top 20 for ODI and T20 in the world bowling rankings. Adam Zampa, the only player ranked above him, but in terms of pace bowling, he has been the man. No Australian cricketer has bowled more maidens in T20s than Josh Hazleton, and that's by at least 4 maidens, the next bloke on 3. So he's absolutely killing it there. Mitch Starc might have his measure in terms of average and stuff like that, but you can't discredit what he's done. Is he the greatest white ball cricketer we've produced? Probably not, but he's definitely in the conversation, particularly from a bowling standpoint.
I mean, and it doesn't help that he's just stacked up against 2 blokes that will go down as 2 of the greatest white ballers we've had in Mitch Starc and Pat Cummins, right? So it's a pretty stellar list there as well. Boys, on to the international angle in the IPL. I've started this run for about 2 weeks since we last recorded, basically, and I still can't comprehend it. 14-year-old Suryavanshi, the youngest player in IPL history. He was bought at the auction for US $130,000 at just 13 years of age at the time by the Rajasthan Royals. He opened up alongside the absolute sensation in Jaiswal. In his opening game, 34 runs off 20 balls, 3 sixes and 2 fours. He came out and hit his first ball in the IPL at 14 years old for 6. Maxi, I couldn't tie my own shoes at 14 years old. And this bloke's tapping, pumping the best bowlers in the world for 6.
Yeah, it's pretty unprecedented, isn't it? I think we get excited in Australia when we've got a 14-year-old who might be good enough to play second grade or first grade cricket, which is how many steps removed from the professional circuit. This guy's stepping into the IPL and doing it easy. Geez, it's exciting to watch. People will remember him. He sort of made his name and got this big contract off his success in an under-19 series. Against Australia, where he smacked a ton in a red ball game in the second innings off 60 deliveries. And, that's really good against 19-year-old. This is against men. So, yeah, just certainly a name to remember.
Rando, have you got some numbers or some stats around the youngest players in IPL history for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Got the list of top 5 youngest players. Obviously, we'll start at number 5. And this guy was Pradeep Sangwan. 17 years, 179 days, way back in 2008. He was an under-19s World Cup winner there for India, tagged as the youngest debutant for nearly a decade as well. In his debut, he obviously played the Chennai Super Kings. 40 run. He went for 40 runs with no wickets. He last played in the IPL in 2022 for the Gujarat Titans, and he hasn't played in cricket since 2024. So he's kind of gone disappearing. Obviously, 17 years old in 2008. quick math, 17 years from now, he'd be 34 right now, which would still be in his prime. But unfortunately, we haven't heard much of Pradeep. The next bloke is Rian Parag. First IPL appearance for the all-rounder was a thriller remembered by Mitchell Santner's last ball 6 and MS Dhoni's infamous outburst against the umpire. So that's one dramatic way to debut. He also became the youngest player to hit an IPL 50 as well in his debut season at 17. And he has since become a regular for Rajasthan Royals and is the squad's current vice captain. So that's a success story from debuting young. The next bloke has also been a success story, and that's Mujeeb. 17 years, 11 days. Many Aussie fans would recognise the name. Played for the Heat, played for the Renegades. He was a mystery Afghanistan spinner at the time when he debuted for the Kings 11 in 2018, and he trapped Colin Munro, LBW, with his first ball in IPL history. So nice. I guess that's the bowler's equivalent of hitting a 6 on debut, taking down a New Zealand international. So, of course, Mujeeb, he's been successful. The next bloke, Parias Ray Barman, 16 years and 157 days in 2019. Obviously playing for the Royal Challengers against the Sunrisers. Poor bloke had to bowl to Johnny Bairstow and David Warner on a flat pitch in the afternoon sun. He conceded 56 in 4 overs, the poor bloke. That was the only game of IPL he ever played. He has not played since 2022. So, yeah, not too good for Barman there. They absolutely broke him, but who would force their way into a squad with Bairstow and Warner? And the last one, we've got, of course, Suryavanshi. I got that right? I'm trying to work it all out.
Suryavanshi, you've done well,
Suryavanshi, I'll do that. 14 years, 23 days. I mean, you're 14 years old and you're playing IPL. Are you really going to block the first ball you face? No, just hits it for 6. I think it was Shakul Thakur who was the bowler. 80 games for India across ODIs, T20s and Tests. 100+ games of IPL experience. Absolutely disrespected him, hit him for 6 there. So those are the top 5 youngest IPL players. Obviously, 2 of them have gone on and continued to be successful. The other 2 dropped out, so it's a 50-50 success rate. Hopefully we see more of them.
It is, mate. Shout out to Crick Info for doing the legwork.
Absolutely,
there,
big legwork. Well, what do you think? I just remembered it off the bat. Oh, yeah, the 2008 game.
The Colin Munro LBW, infamous.
Infamous, of course.
No, you've done well, mate. You've done well. Guys, Virat Kohli, 443 runs at 63.28 this tournament. Leading run scorer in the IPL this season, and he is, of course, the leading run scorer in the history of the IPL with 8,447 career runs at 39.47. He's 1,600 clear of Rohit Sharma in second place. David Warner, the Aussie, he's in 4th place with an average of 40.52, which is phenomenal from the Aussie opener. My question to you, Maxie, is he simply the undisputed greatest IPL player of all time, or can you argue against it?
I think you can argue against it, right? Because I'd ask Virat, probably not to his face, mate. You've scored all these runs, but how many titles have you lifted? And I think that he's an incredible cricketer, but the franchise that have supported him since the beginning, the Royal Challengers Bangalore, the question must be: have they necessarily supported him with their team's ambitions to win? Because it's been they've been unsuccessful for a while, and they've had a recruitment strategy which is focused on building star players, particularly with the bat, adding them around Virat. But this team, it's not been a winning recipe. So I think you've got to look at titles alongside the individual accolades when you're measuring overall success in the IPL, and that's why looking at other franchises, particularly like CSK. KKR, who have won multiple titles and done it in different styles with different players. That's where I sort of think success is, and it's probably why I would still argue that Mahendra Singh Dhoni's probably got that claim at the moment. Yeah, I mean, stats are one thing, titles are another. Rando, how do you see it with Virat Kohli? Is he number 1? Who are the blokes you put in there around him? Yeah, I think, as you mentioned, I think the knock-on
Kohli is the amount of titles that he has won. Not doubting him as a batter. You can only do as much as you can as an individual on that team. You've got, of course, MS Dhoni, 5 titles for Chennai. That's quite incredible in itself, considering the competition is, 17 years? So almost every 3 years, MS Dhoni's taking out a title there. You've also got Rohit Sharma as well. I know he's still going, so we don't talk too much about him in legendary status, but he's the most successful captain in IPL history. He's led the Mumbai Indians to 5 titles on top of that. So I think those two kind of sit on top. In terms of Australian legendary status, obviously David Warner, you can't go past his average of 40.52, more than Kohli. Obviously, he hasn't played as many games, so he doesn't have as much runs. But from a foreigner looking in that tournament, that's pretty good. But yeah, I think Kohli, batsman, individual accolades, brilliant. But he's just looking for that title, a bit like Jonathan Thurston when he was trying to carry that Cowboys 2015 title. I'm sure when he does win, we'll have Ray Warren talking about him going from legendary status to possibly cricket immortality.
Shout out to our Indian listeners with the Jonathan Thurston and Rabs Warren shout out there. But yeah, so let us know, guys, in the comments if you're on YouTube, on social media. Give us a shout. Who's the greatest IPL player of all time? Is it Kohli? Is it Dhoni? Is it Rohit Sharma? Depends how you see, but let us know what you think.
I'll tell you what, though, Timmy, having a look at the ladder so far this season, this could be the year that RCB turn it around, and it could be because of our little mate Josh Hazlewood, his teammate, and the amount
of wickets he's Kohli, the greatest cricketer of all time.
Sorry, that's what I meant. So, hopefully this is the year that Kohli can answer back to those critics.
Hazlewood delivers the title for him. How good would that be? Boys, English county season. The watch over in the UK. Aussie updates, Rando. Before we get on to a few key men being Cam Green, Fergus O'Neill, who are the Aussies who have performed good and or bad in the past week or two?
Absolutely, of course. Cam Green hitting out that ton, 112 for Gloucestershire. We also had Peter Hanscom hit 142 not out for Leicestershire as well. Important to note, those games came in Div 2 matches. Same with Cam Bancroft, who struggled for Gloucestershire as well. 2 and 22 with the bat in the first and second innings. So obviously he has been tossed among the names for potential opening positions there for Australia. We've also got Marcus Harris. He had some good knocks. He had 77 in the first innings, and then second innings he was 34 not out. So he's been in good form. Dan Hughes, a quiet name, 62 off 68 for Sussex, and then 49 not out in the second innings as well. But of course, with the ball, Brendan Doggett, 4 for 69 for Durham. You had Fergus O'Neill, as you mentioned, 5 for 19 off 14 overs. But on top of that, he hit 50 runs off 53 balls with the bat. So doing things with the bat and the ball. And then we've also got Liam Guthrie, who first innings 3 for 74 and 0 for 39. So not as attractive figures, but he's also in the mix there over in England.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Green's an interesting one there, as you mentioned, a ton, but playing in the same team as Cameron Bancroft. The 112, he followed it up with scores of 4, 3 and 2. So read into that as you will, but look, he had the big knock there. It was his first knock in the UK this time around. So runs are runs. He's got a ton. He's got a monkey off the back since returning from injury. The match was drawn. Gloucestershire scored 472 and then declared 5 for 333. Kent, they scored 393 and then they were 6 for 124 in the second innings. So there were runs at the venue. Maxi, what do you make of that and the 4 knocks for Cam Green?
I think it's just really important context to remember, particularly for Aussie fans these days who, at this time of year, like they're just getting their updates via Instagram, right? Like it's the Century's the headline grabber, but it will be important to continue to monitor all of those performances to see should he be a walk-up start come that World Test Championship.
The big one though, boys, Fergus O'Neill on fire. Had a very short stint over in the UK. 3 games, 21 wickets at 17 in his 3 clicks there. 2 5-wicket hauls in the process. He finishes that stint as the top wicket taker in county cricket. Basically, Maxie, we spoke about him coming into it and how he was a big watch. How much has he lifted his stocks in the fast bowling ranks in Australian cricket off? Albeit a short stint, but to do it in the UK, it's a good sign.
It is a good sign, and you always got to consider, horses for courses selections, as we've spoken about a couple of times on the podcast. But like, Fergus is probably paying about like $1 to go over and do what he's done. These conditions just suit him down to to an absolute T. He's not the fastest bowler, but he's accurate and he can move it both ways, and that's what works in English conditions. So it's great to know that he can step into new environments, new team members, new conditions, new countries, and do these things. So he certainly knows reputation, no harm.
Boys, let's move on to part 2 of the show, the World Team of the Week, the part of the show where we scan through all the best results from the world of cricket to come up with our World Team of the Week. From there, we give our 3, 2, 1 votes to go towards the race to the mace, with the winning Players Nation getting points to their overall total. This week, looking at the IPL over the past 2 weeks, county cricket, and then the Pakistan Super League as well. Max, I'll start with you, mate. Opening bat, yours look absolutely flooded from... You had the IPL, Randall's on county cricket duties.
Correct. And yeah, no surprise that the openers are doing well at the IPL. Firstly, Shubman Gill, 90 off 55 for his Gujarat Titans. Prabh Simran Singh hit 83 off 49 for the Kings. Rohit Sharma had a couple of good innings with a 76 not out and a 70 for Mumbai. Jaiswal, 74 off 52. Kohli, he's had a couple of 70s out there for RCB. And the final one was Sahib Zada Farhan, who hit 106. That was actually in the Pakistan Super League for Islamabad United versus Peshawar Zalmi.
Very nice. Rando, what did you find over in the UK?
Over in the UK, we had Hasib Hamid, the former England opener, 85 and 62 for Notts against Surrey. He backed that up with 138 against Warwickshire as well. So he's been in good form. Tall Paul Walter. He had 104 opening the bat for Essex versus Worcestershire.
What can't he do?
What can't he do? Brilliant knock there. We had Alex Lees with the second highest total for openers, 172 off 240 balls for Durham versus Yorkshire. Tom Haynes, 174 off 286 balls for Sussex against Surrey. And then Dom Bess, 107 off 117 for Yorkshire versus Worcestershire as well. So some big scores there in the county.
Tall Paul Walter, one of the great multifaceted cricketers. We know him certainly down in Australia in recent years for his feats in the Big Bash, for the Brisbane Heat. You know, great death bowling, a late order, can tonk around the park, but now he's just opening the bat in the UK county cricket, hitting tons there. He can do it all, the big fella, good in the field. Love Tall Paul Walter. Boys, our openers this week, Shubman Gill and Virat Kohli. A bit light on in the middle order, so we have snuck a couple more openers into our order, but Maxi, for now, your middle order batsman.
None for me, mate. That's it. All the runs were coming from the top of the order in the IPL, so Rando's county update it is.
From the past 2 weeks, in the IPL, that we look through the results and the fixtures, etc., about the top 15 scores were opening batsmen. Phenomenal. So, Rando.
Flat tracks. That's not what we're seeing in the county because there have been some big scores in middle orders. Emilio Gay, 152 off 239 balls for Durham against Yorkshire. We had a couple of English internationals come through next. Ollie Pope, 103 off 135 balls for Surrey against Sussex. He was joined by Dan Lawrence, 117 off 111 balls against Sussex, 10 fours and 6 sixes in that innings. And then we had Dawood Malan, 98 off 133 into 76 off 64 in the second innings against Worcestershire.
Our middle order, Rohit Sharma, obviously opening over there in the IPL. We've got Rohit Sharma, Dan Lawrence, Ollie Pope, Paul Walter. Wicket keepers. Maxie, what have you found?
Wicket keepers, it was a pretty good week in the IPL. So I've got 2 for you. The first one is Ryan Rickleton, who got 58 from 32 deliveries for Mumbai. And then KL Rahul, man, he is having a hell of a year and really doing well for Delhi in the IPL. This week he got 57 not out off 42.
Rando, you found an old foe of the Aussies.
I've got the great John Simpson as head of the John Simpson fan club. Very good to see him play well. 74 and 3 catches for Surrey versus Notts. He's also been upgraded to captaincy of Surrey. So he's
only
definitely
a matter of time.
The ascendancy of this kid is incredible. I can't believe it. Another bloke that he'll probably take over eventually, Johnny Bairstow. He had 86 off 167 for Durham against Yorkshire.
Our wicketkeeper this week, boys, KL Rahul.
John Simpson robbed.
Simpson robbed. Look, there'll be no one more filthy about his 74 and getting out early than John Simpson.
Yeah.
But we know he'll bounce back, and that's why he's been elevated to captaincy status. Maxi, what bowlers did you find?
Jasprit Bumrah has returned for Mumbai with a bang, 4 for 22 this week. Trent Bolt doing really nicely for them as well, 4 for 26 and 3 for 20. Harshal Patel, 4 for 28 for Sunrisers Hyderabad. Our man Josh Hazlewood Very good week for him. 4 for 33 and 3 for 14 for RCB. Fahim Ashraf, 5 for 33 over in the Pakistan Super League for the Quetta Gladiators versus Peshawar Zalmi. And Jason Holder, West Indian all-rounder, he's had a really good week as well. He took 4 for 21 for Peshawar Zalmi as well.
Yes, very nice there. Jasper Bumrah took him a long time to find his rhythm coming back from injury, didn't it? Rando, bowlers?
Plenty of bowlers to look at here. Miguel Pretorius, 47 not out of 40 balls, into a 5 for 64 for Somerset against Hampshire. We had Michael Booth, 5 for 90 for Notts versus Warwickshire. Brett Hutton took 5 for Warwickshire against Notts, as did Fergus O'Neill, 5 for 19 into his 50 off 53 with the bat. Jordan Clark for Surrey against Somerset. He had 5 for 68 into 3 for 24 in his second innings with the ball. Jake Ball, speaking of ball, Jake Ball, 5 for 47, Durham versus Warwickshire. Jamie Porter, 6 for 52, the best figures in an innings for the week for Essex against Worcestershire. And I know Indian listeners would know this player, Alan Tongue's brother, Josh Tongue, 5 for 44 for Notts against Sussex.
Yeah, Canberra Raiders fans or
Indian cricket fans?
Boys, our bowling attack, Fahim Ashraf, Josh Hazlewood, Fergus O'Neill and Jasper Bumrah. And of course, I should have prefaced by saying when we do our selections, particularly our 3-2-1 voting, we go off the international cricket. The Pakistan Super League, it will be weighed less than the IPL due just to the standard and the players in the tournament. The county cricket in England, it'll be down a little bit lower as well, being domestic over in the UK. Boys, race for the mace, your 3-2-1 voting. Maxi, what have you got?
1 point Fergus O'Neill, 2 points Josh Hazlewood, and I gave 3 points to Shubman Gill this week. I just like the cut of his jib.
Yeah, no, fair, hard to argue. Wide open this week. There weren't a lot of very good performances. No standouts, I didn't think. Rando.
Yeah, I went for consistency here. Dal Milan doing it in both innings in county. 2 points, Fergus O'Neill, can't go past the 5 for 19, topped off with 50 off 53. Virat Kohli, we're talking about him before, but 270s, doing really well with the bat over there, leading the runs in the IPL, obviously the all-time leading IPL run scorer as well. So he's still doing good things over there and had a good week.
For myself, Shubman Gill gets 1 vote. Fergus O'Neill, the Aussie, 2 votes. And Trent Boult, the Kiwi, that you boys absolutely brushed, my favourite cricketer, probably of all time, 4 for 26 and 3 for 20. The figures were almost identical to Josh Hazlewood, to be fair, but just to avoid a bit of this Aussie bias, I've thrown Boult in instead. We easily could have had Josh Hazlewood there. For the week, that is 3 votes to Fergus O'Neill across the board, so 3 points for Australia. We've got 2 votes going to Shubman Gill, and then it's equal Trent Boult on 1 vote and Kohli 1 vote. So the Indians, they'll get 2 there. The race for the mace, that puts India in first at 25, Australia clawing their way back on 24, and the Kiwis in third on 12. Boys, that'll do us for this week's episode of the Cricketers Playbook podcast. Maxi, thank you, mate.
Thanks, Timmy. We're about a month away from the grand final of the Indian Premier League. So, yeah, really looking forward to the closing stage of the tournament.
Starting to heat up big time, Rando. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm really keen to see the comments on Maxi and all the threats that were probably left out his door after he said Kohli isn't the best IPL player of all time. It's going to be interesting.
He can win me back. He's just got to win the title.
He has time. If he wins this, undisputed. But let us know. Guys, we will be back in 2 weeks' time for another episode that will be getting towards the nitty-gritty and the finals time in the IPL. And, of course, updating on county cricket, the Pakistan Super League, all these great things going on around the world of cricket. Hope you've enjoyed. Have a good week.